show. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we have something very special for you today. We have a episode that we are talking about The Last Rodeo. This is a new film to come from the Angel Studios team. And it's something I think a lot of the Hallmarkies fans will enjoy. And we are going to approach it from two angles. I was able to participate in a junket for the film with writer-director Jon Avnet and star and co-writer Neal McDonough. So I was able to ask them some questions, and so that was a lot of fun. Hope you enjoy that. And then Terry's going to join me, and we are going to share our little review, our short thoughts on the film. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But here is the junket, and I'm curious, what was the inspiration or catalyst for this film? How did it all come together?
Well, I was doing this Western called The Warrant, and I was away from Reveille and the kids. And this thought went through my gut, and it kind of crumbled me and said, what would ever happen to me if something ever happened to my wife, Reveille? And then this other idea came from above. I know it wasn't for me. It was write a film about Rocky on a Bull, about a grandfather who has to go save his grandson because he's dying from the same brain tumor that killed his wife. So where did that come from?
Oh, wow.
I don't know exactly where it came from. And then in 24 hours, I kind of dictated what the outline of the film was. Within a week, my writing partner, Derek Presley, and I wrote the film. And then a week later, we had it all set up, raised the financing, we got distribution. And they said, who do you want to have direct the film? I said, there's only one choice. And it's Jon Avnet. And we wouldn't be here today without this amazing, successful, fantastic film if it weren't for his direction, his leadership. He is the maestro, the shots that he devised in the film, the relationships that between the characters that he helped. We wrote the script. I handed it to Jon, make it your own. And boy, did he.
Yeah. Well, Jon, what did you think of this idea when you first heard it?
I thought it was really strong, and that Neal had done something very smart because he is a person of faith. It's the biggest tenet in his life, that and his wife and his family. And he had written a character who had no faith, had lost his faith, and who was mourning the loss of his wife and had become a very selfish person, and in many ways very self-indulgent, and in the process had hurt everyone who loved him. Mm-hmm. And this story, when Neal said, make it your own, I thought, okay, I can tease these elements out and really make it in many ways a father-daughter story. Mm-hmm. Because many fathers have a tough time with their daughters. They're awkward. They're not sure how to deal with things. They're certainly not always right. And it's subjective to begin with. And I thought if he could earn her love back and her appreciation, and if in many ways she could forgive him, and maybe he might be able to forgive himself. Yeah. And I thought that was built into the premise of what he and Derek had written. And I thought I could write to that. And Neal encouraged me, to do just that. So that was one of my focuses. And in the same line, the relationship with his best friend, Charlie. Again, he had been selfish. And Michael T. is somebody Neal and I both worked with many times. And, he helped me figure out that character so that it wasn't serving Neal as the star. Mm-hmm. He was a character who he had gone through tough times. He had his own pain. he had been hurt by Neal. So it allowed for things to be earned on camera. And in the context of that, the bull riding became something more than just staying on a bull. It was even more than just trying to earn money for his grandson. It was about trying to find redemption on a certain level. And that attracted me, that emotional element, to the action of the film. So I thought what Neal and Derek had come up with was very strong.
What was the training like required for you, for Neal, for this film?
I got the snot kicked out of me.
Yeah, I bet.
I mean, but here's a problem. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
There was one shot in the film, because I had trained for months, but we're just working out, working on horses, working on mechanical bulls, getting ready, being prepared, knowing everything, because I wanted to look authentic.
Uh-huh.
And I remember this one shot where I got flung off the mechanical bull and I popped my shoulder right out of the socket. And it's in the movie, and there I am still talking to Michael T in the scene, and afterwards I said I have to go to the bathroom. I'm like, what? I have to go pee. I don't think I ever. And I walk around the corner, I slam my shoulder into the side of a barn to pop it back into shape, and I walk back in. I'm like, all right, let's go. And John looks at me like, that was a quick pee. I didn't tell John till 4 months later that I separated my shoulder falling off the bull on that thing, because it
would have broken his nose.
He would have broken the other shoulder. But I'm a knucklehead. I enjoy the physicality. I love immersing myself into the physical side of a character, especially someone like this.
How about when he's doing the workout scene and he's punching like hay bale?
Yeah.
That's Neal. I was just trying to figure out how to shoot it, because Neal knew I was going to beat him up if he didn't do it.
Okay, do push-ups. Roll cameras. And I'm doing push-ups.
One-legged jumps.
And he's letting the camera roll until I completely exhaust myself. And of course, me, I'm like, I'm not going to get tired. I'm going to keep going. This is going to be a 3-minute roll of me doing push-ups, or hitting the hay bale. I'm just wailing on that thing. And I'm waiting for Neal to cut. He's not giving it to you, so I'm just getting to do it even more. But he knows me. He knows that's what really gets me going. And John understands me better than any other director ever. And I've worked with some of the greatest directors of all time.
Yeah.
Jon Avnet, to me, is the greatest director of all time. And what he did in this film for an $8.5 million budget to make it look like a $50 million film, with the sequences that John devised with the bull. If you love bull riding, you're going to lose your mind when you see this film. Yeah. But to me, it's the heart and soul that John really pulled out of all of us that makes this film really sing.
Well, I noticed that you had a little bit of like a handheld, a little bit of a raw feel to the cinematography. I was wondering why you went that approach.
Well, I wanted to be with the characters. And in general, my style of direction is to sort of have an invisible camera. So there may be interesting shots, and they may be even very physically demanding to pull off, but they don't look like anything. So I don't want to draw attention to the camera by and large, as much as I want to draw attention to the performance. And because I've worked with all the actors, Neal, Michael T, Sarah, before, we have a really good shorthand. And Neal was ready to do the movie 6 months before we got there. And I basically had to tell him every once in a while, knock it off.
Now, John? Now, John?
Knock it off.
Now?
And we've worked together, so we really have a shorthand. So that handheld feel was there to sort of be with them. And like in the scene with him and Sarah Jones in the hospital, she was so good, and I needed to get that camera to capture what she was doing. I knew that first take was going to be incredibly raw. And again, Neal's professionalism and experience allowed him to work with the camera, to keep a good eye line, things that you would never notice. So I felt that gave it a little bit of viscerality, if you will, to the experience.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think might surprise people about this movie?
I think that the bull riding, I think we did a job that I haven't seen before. And Sean Gleason, who's the head of the PBR, who was our mentor, who gave me notes,
who sat next to me 2 weeks ago in Dallas for the USA Film Festival. And there I am sweating, thinking, oh my gosh, if Sean Gleason doesn't love this as the head of the PBR, we're toast.
Yeah.
The film, he comes up to me, grabs me, and says, this is now my new favorite film.
Oh, that's cool.
That's the blessing of blessings that you wanted. So,
yeah.
But again,
let me finish one thing, if you will. The thing that I think is surprising, that was her question, was two things for me. Just how natural Neal is as a leading man. He's made a great career playing villains, but he's like a prototypical Western star, like Clint Eastwood or John Wayne, Jimmy Stewart, Gary Cooper. He says so much. He has such an economical way of doing things because he's so there. And all this experience he has as an actor allows him to do just the perfect amount. Like in the scene in the hospital, when you cut to Neal, he's so there. He doesn't have a line. He barely says a word. But if you really look at it carefully, it's just a brilliant performance. This was a shot for him to be the leading man instead of supporting or a villain. And I was really excited about that. And I hope the audience responds to that. And then the second part was the father-daughter stuff, how moving I thought that might be and how powerful and not what you'd expect when you hear the title Last Rodeo. Again, his accessibility and Sarah Jones, what an actress. What a wonderful, wonderful actress.
She killed it. She just killed it.
So, sorry for interrupting.
No.
Well, one last little quick pitch to Hallmarkies podcast. We have Hallmark fans that will listen to our podcast. What would be your pitch to them? They're going to like this movie. Let's check it out.
Oh, this is a very exciting, high voltage action picture, which will make you laugh at times and it'll probably make you cry. It'll move you deeply. And the message is something that I think Hallmark fans will relate to very strongly. And it's something that Neal has been one of the loudest advocates for forever, about heart, about faith, about family.
All right, very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Today's episode of the podcast is sponsored by Kelsey Whitney and her new book, C'est La Vie. Kelsey Whitney, author of Sweet Contemporary Beach Reads, is back with the first in a new series, the Outer Banks series. Lainey Adams, a master at people-pleasing, can't remember the last real job she's held. Between filling in at the general store and waiting tables at her brother's diner, she's always adapted to meet everyone else's needs, forgoing her own career. When an unexpected injury leaves her dad's fishing boat without a captain, she bears the weight on her shoulders to save the family business. When she spots a sports car stuck in a ditch, she's intrigued because newcomers are a rarity in this small town. Upon realizing it's Tate, the boy, now man, she hasn't spoken to in 10 years, she's filled with mixed emotions. After all, he's the boy that stole her heart every summer for 12 years, only to leave it broken in the end. Tate Matthews thrives on order and predictability. When he catches his girlfriend cheating on him on the day he was planning to propose, it uproots his plans for his future. Feeling aimless, he returns to his grandfather's seaside cottage in the eccentric town of Widow's Wharf, the town that holds the glistening summers of his youth and the one girl who has always remained at the forefront of those memories. Armed with a plan in place to fix the wear on the family cottage from being a seaside rental over the last decade and a newfound purpose, Tate begins renovations. When he finds a faded letter with a vague message to meet at a lighthouse that no longer exists, his interest is piqued. Will Tate be able to solve the mystery of the letter? Will it be enough to bring Lainey and Tate together again? And most importantly, will Tate be able to help Lainey see her true worth? C'est La Vie is available for purchase through the Crafty Bookstore, Romance Landia Bookstore, and the Porter Company Bookshop, as well as using the Amazon affiliate link below. That's C'est La Vie by Kelsey Whitney. Happy summer reading. I hope you all enjoyed that. And so now Terry has joined me. We're going to talk about the movie, our little thoughts. And thanks so much, Terry, for doing this.
You're welcome. And thank you for the invite.
Yes. So I guess overall, we should say, so this movie, The Last Rodeo, this is directed by Jon Avnet and written by him and Neal McDonough, Derek Presley, and it stars Neal McDonough. And it also stars Sarah Jones, who Hallmark fans might recognize because she was in a bunch of the Love Comes Softly movies.
Yes.
Yes, she played in the last ones, the lead in the last ones. I forget Belinda. I think it was the name.
Yeah, she was Belinda. Belinda's technically not part of the main group.
Well,
she comes in afterwards.
I think of him part of my the box set that I got. She was in the last box.
Oh, Rachel got fancy. She got a box set. I just have them individually.
Yeah. It was one of my first experiences with Hallmark was that
I do
I
love
got
that
for
series though.
I
Yeah.
really do. I really do.
And that series goes wild, like nothing compared to the books. Because Belinda, I think, she's the adopted daughter of Missy, right? But she is the daughter of the main couple, Clark and oh, I forgot her name. Yeah, she's their daughter.
She's their
So
granddaughter.
crazy.
She's their granddaughter. Belinda is
In the
granddaughter.
movies, she's the granddaughter.
Oh,
In the
yeah,
book
it's different in the
series,
book.
she's the daughter. Yeah, they have many more kids. That's why later on in the series, kids start popping out of nowhere, and you're like, "Who are these people?"
But yeah, we talked about in our underrated episode that we did. We talked about that at least I feel like those later ones are kind of underappreciated.
Oh, I'm sorry,
overhated in my opinion.
Poor Rachel. We always go on a tangent when I'm on. I apologize,
no,
people.
it
It just happens. I'm sorry.
But it was fun to see her in this playing the daughter. She was good.
Oh, she was very good. Yeah.
Yeah. So the summary is: to save his grandson, a retired rodeo star enters a high-stakes bull riding competition. Along the way, he confronts his past, discovers faith, and proves that true courage lies in family. So overall, what do you think about this movie?
I like this. It felt kind of old school to me. Like we used to get these type of movies a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel like we do, but we just don't know they exist, I guess, or they go straight to streaming and they get lost in the shuffle. So it was kind of nice to see kind of a throwback. And I don't know, I really liked it. You can connect to the story. I mean, it's like, I think everybody's been put in a situation here, especially when you have like medical bills or something like that. It is very stressful. So there's a relatable aspect, with the relationship between the father and daughter and the father and the grandson and stuff like that. There's a lot of relatable moments, even if you don't know anything about the rodeo, which I don't know nothing about the rodeo.
I mean, everything that I know about the rodeo, I learned from watching Heartland.
Yeah, I've learned from watching like movies, And
there's not that much. There's not that much in Heartland about the rodeo, but there's a couple characters, and it comes in because it's obviously more horses than bulls. But yeah, I enjoyed it too. I thought it was a really solid little movie. I think that it was interesting to me to see how it handled sort of the faith element, because it's very nuanced. I would say it's pretty minimal, actually. I mean, I think that anybody of any faith or lack of faith could still appreciate this film.
Oh, totally. They could still watch it and like not get annoyed, because depending on some certain people. And I think what I like about this too is that they don't hit you on the head with it, because some faith-based movies, and I think this is where they get the bad rap, is they just go overboard and like hit you on the head with it, and sometimes it comes off a little preachy. And this one it just felt like very organic, very natural.
Just like this guy, and he's just it feels authentic to this character.
Totally, yeah.
And it feels like, okay, he is authentic to like what this person would really be doing and saying, and not trying to. It doesn't really have a ministry approach to it.
No, it doesn't. It feels it feels like so much more believable. Like
it does.
Have, you have your own spirituality and your own faith, but you always know somebody who's just a little bit more than you and has to like, remind you every now and then, but in a nice way and not in an overbearing way.
Yeah.
And so I like this. Yeah, I like that approach. It feels so much more natural.
And I think the story it's like just from a sports movie kind of thing. It's like entertaining to see him see him going through this training, and like he's a true underdog, and is he going to be able to do it? And so I think that people will like that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, if there's an element where like he has to succeed at least somehow, because could you imagine watching an entire movie like he needs that money for his grandson, and then him not succeeding, and you're like, what? But at least he knew,
that would be a dark take.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine?
It's like all of a sudden became like a David Fincher movie or something like that. We're all like, oh no.
Yeah, but
I
I really, yeah, but it was, I loved
it just from like
I,
a classic sports movie
oh,
kind of
classic, yes, it's the
it was
underdog.
entertaining on that
And I
level.
was like invested, like, oh, how's he gonna do? Is he gonna stay on that bull? Like, I
Yeah.
really loved how they filmed that too. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I did laugh at one moment when they were singing the national anthem because I was like, I that's a CGI background, but whatevs, you can forgive it. But
Yeah.
I loved the way they actually filmed the rodeo and the stuff on the bull and all that. I mean, because there was tension in it. And like I felt
Yeah.
like the thing is like I wasn't really there, but I could feel like how it could be there when you're there, the atmosphere and
Yeah.
that tension.
Well,
So they
and
did a really good job conveying that, at least to
yeah.
me.
Well, and I asked the director about the cinematography because he used a lot of handheld
Yeah.
things that it feels like you're like there with these characters.
Yeah.
It was
So
definitely an
yeah,
interesting
I was like,
choice.
ooh, is he gonna make it? So I thought that was really well done. Like they really put you in there, so
Uh-huh.
you could like feel like
Yeah.
I would never, Rachel. I was like, oh no, no, no. Like I
Yeah.
really felt that. I was
Yeah.
like, uh-uh.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was there was some artistry to this film as far as
Yes.
the choices that they made, which I
Yeah.
appreciated. And I think that it's also a compelling film about family,
Mm-hmm.
and because he has a pretty rocky relationship with his daughter, and and but he loves his grandson, and she is very kind of skeptical and doesn't really want to trust his daughter. And
Yeah.
but then when he does this for them, I know kind of he finally comes through in a way that maybe he hadn't
Yeah.
in the past,
Yeah.
been
And
more of a
it's
selfish. So there's a theme of forgiveness and
totally
family and love, and that was
and
very
concern. Yeah.
sweet.
Like
Yeah.
because concern because she doesn't want her son to follow the same footsteps because this could be dangerous and there's a whole bunch of stuff. But it's like. And there's a sense of loss too because not really a spoiler, but his wife died, so it's
Yeah.
just the three of them basically in this small family, father, daughter, grandson, and it's just like it's just them. So it's like how do we keep close, but also like we have these issues. So it's like a tightrope, but it felt very believable to me. Like this is how family interacts when it's just that small of a unit and you have to like manage it.
Uh-huh.
I found all of
Yeah.
that dynamic. Like I thought they were so good together.
Yeah.
You
Well, it was
know.
interesting too because the woman playing his wife in the flashbacks, that's his real wife.
Yes, yeah, I
And
clocked that. I was like, ooh.
and I guess Neal McDonough, he's kind of well known because he refuses to any romantic scenes at
Yes.
all.
Yeah.
He won't kiss, nothing. And so, but was the exception because it's literally his wife.
Yeah. I remember
So
that was a big hoopla back in the day when that came out many years ago. And I
yeah,
thought, who cares? I mean,
I mean, it's certainly going to limit his roles, and I wouldn't want him judging other people, for their choices
no.
if they choose
But
to
he's
act.
yeah.
But it doesn't seem. I don't think that's the case, and so if
No.
that's how he wants to, that's fine. But it's
Yeah, I mean,
certainly,
people work. I mean, you
yeah.
have to choose what type of career you want. So,
He was
well,
saying
kudos
that
to you.
he's played a lot of villains, which makes sense. I feel like I've seen
He
him in a
has
lot
played
of
a lot of
villains.
villains, Rachel. Yeah. I
So
almost know him exclusively for playing
yeah, yeah,
villains.
which would make sense because you're not going to have a lot of romantic scenes with villains usually,
Yeah.
for the most part. So that kind of makes sense. But so this was a nice change of pace for him to get to be
Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
Where this was filmed, because I thought like the opening shots of him driving like to the ranch and stuff, it was just beautiful. Beautiful country like over there.
I can't remember. It might be Utah. It might have been filmed in Utah, but I could be wrong on that.
I wasn't sure, and I was like, I thought of Utah, but I wasn't 100% sure. But I was like, oh, it's beautiful country. Just like the wide shots in the beginning when he's driving. I was like, oh, it's just right away you get into the feel of what this movie is.
Yeah. But I think that this is the kind of movie that people would maybe judge, but if they actually gave it a shot, it's a lot better than they would expect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because of course you do have people automatically, and this is with every movie, like whatever studio it comes out with, people are already going to judge. And there's people who are like, oh, it's Angel Studios. No way,
Yeah.
But if you didn't know who did it and you sat down and just watched it on a whim, I think there's some element that you would enjoy.
I think so too.
And they don't really make these kind of it's simple, but it's compelling. These type of movies anymore, at least for the big screen.
Yeah. The only thing I think it could have done better is that, I mean, the fact that this is at all plausible that a man would have to do this in order for his young grandson to get a tumor removed and to get treatment. The fact that this is even a possibility, is absolutely insane. I mean, no other country in the world would this be plausible.
And it is the most believable part of this movie too. And it's not him being a 50-year-old bull rider having to get it. Oh, no, it's like, no, I got to pay for this. My insurance won't cover it. It's the most believable part.
Like,
Rachel, that drove me nuts. I was so angry.
I am for sure a conservative. I am not for big spending. I get it, I really do. But it just like the fact that I say all that, and I still think that this shouldn't happen. And I think that we as a society need to collectively agree on certain things that we should allow to help people on, I know it's just crazy. And I guess I do think it's kind of ridiculous that it's not even brought up. It's not even questioned. There's no moment where any character is like, this is absolutely outrageous that this.
No, because we're so used to it.
No, it's just well, I guess we got to pay for it,
We got to pay for it. And I have been in situations like this, when you have because my parents were sick. Oh, I remember the big meeting they had with my dad.
Yeah.
And you got to fight for your rights, guys. I mean, it's a long process, but fight for it. I mean, Rachel, like late last year, I dislocated my shoulder because I took an old lady fall. And my insurance is still sending me things like, are you sure you don't want to sue anybody so they could pay for this? And I'm like, who am I going to sue, myself? I'm still struggling with this, Rachel. Luckily, depending on your state, there's charity which you can apply for, which will pay for.
I do think that St. Jude's and some of the organizations probably could have helped this boy out.
Sure, but that takes a lot. That's I could understand that, but that's almost too much of a deep dive for a movie. We gotta get the role model. But you've got to research and fight for your rights because. Man, but when that scene happened, are you going to be able to pay for this? I was like, oh, I got so mad, Rachel. Especially because I just had a flashback of my parents being sick. And I was like, yeah, I'll pay for it,
Yeah, but I think they just wanted to keep things really simple.
Oh, yeah,
give him a simple motivation and make it a true sports movie. And when he's getting up there, that he has to stay on there for the 8 seconds is pretty tense. It's oh my gosh.
And I had to look it up because the fellow competitor, he's a real life rodeo star.
They had I did talk to them about that in the interview. They worked with the rodeo community a lot in this.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you could tell. I mean, I could tell, those are real people, on those bowls and stuff.
Man,
never, Rachel.
Those guys have guts, man. Unbelievable.
Totally. And I think more so with this movie, I kind of want to check out a rodeo in real life. I've never been. to one. Well, they don't have him anywhere where.
I bet you somewhere in New Jersey they got one.
I mean, sometimes in a blue moon they'll come, like the rodeo come, like for a day or whatever. But I've never been, and I'm kind of really curious to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder if I could stomach it.
It's been a long time. I went when I was in high school. It was not for me, but I feel like I would appreciate it more now. So, but
Yeah,
it is incredible to watch. It's just like, I don't know how you have the guts to do that.
And what man? This had to be a man because it's stupid, Rachel. Who thought up like this? This has to be fun. This has to be fun, like riding in a bull.
Yeah, I mean, you figured that it must have started just with cowboys and
totally. There must have
been some ornery bull who they had to ride, and they're like, "Oh, this is entertaining. Let's."
Yeah, right. There had to be. It just had to be bored men on a ranch somewhere. Who thought it has to because it's so dumb and dangerous. It has to happen.
So the last rodeo, it's a entertaining sports movie. It's a family movie. It's moderately a faith movie, but not that much. And it deals with themes of forgiveness and family and not giving up, and also like that you don't reach a certain age and are just like worthless. That you have something you can contribute. I think is important as well. And so I think that it's I think this is worth watching. I think people will enjoy it, and they should check it out. And
agree.
Let us know what you think of it if you get to see it, and what you think of the interview with Jon and Neal. That was pretty fun to do. So check that out. And thanks so much, everybody. And Terry, where can people follow you?
I'm on Twitter at Flurry Heaven.
Great.
Where I post shenanigans. So.
You can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Check that out. And make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. Really appreciate that. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We have a playlist with all of our interview podcasts, so definitely check that out. And we have our Patreon group, which is the biggest way you can support everything that we're doing. You get a part of monthly polls. You get to be, you get bonus episodes, early access to episodes, and you can be part of our monthly patron events. So super fun. Check that out. And we have our merch store where we have tons of fun Hallmark inspired merch. So check that out. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.